Hello, everyone, and welcome to the BuzzStream Podcast. I'm your host, Vince Nero, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Jasper Morris. How you doing, Jasper?
I'm doing well, Vince. How are you?
Great, great. So Jasper is the sales director at Profit Engine. We got to speak a little bit, I guess, a week or so ago. We were on a webinar with Digital Olympus where we talked link building stuff. So today we are going to be talking about guest posting, how to do it effectively, and I'm really excited to dig into this. But before we do, I just want to remind everyone to like, subscribe, share this stuff with your friends. The more that we can get this stuff going, the more we can have great guests on like Jasper Morris. So thanks again, like and subscribe. All right, Jasper. So tell me a little bit about Profit Engine. I know you've had a couple different roles in the company. It looks like right now you're the sales director, but I know you're still deeply involved in, link building, SEO, that sort of thing. And it sounds like potentially, if I'm getting this right, like it's a kind of family-oriented business. So I'd love to hear a little bit about Profit Engine.
Sure, absolutely. So yeah, my dad started Profit Engine around 9 years ago, and he was getting into the SEO space, and he was like, "What should I do? What sort of thing should I do?" And he chose the most boring part of SEO, which is link building, to be able to do. So he got into link building, and then he actually hired my brother straight from college. So Hugo's never really had a real job, right? So he's been here working with us in the family business. But as a strong head of operations now, which he's really enjoying. And then so I joined a couple of years ago, and then I left for a bit. I actually went and worked for another link building agency. My dad got me that job to just sort of learn more. And then after that, we sort of a couple of years later, when I was sort of ready to join back in the family business, we decided to give it a go and do it all again. So yeah, it was a big risk, but it's just paid off so well. I think over time, and as we've sort of grown, in our careers, we've been able to sort of work together so well over the past couple of years. So it's a real privilege.
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I mentioned we were talking about this earlier. My brother actually helps edit these podcasts for me, so I like the idea of keeping it in the family.
Exactly.
Well, let's jump into this before we get too far afield, because I want to come back to the family thing because you got some interesting stuff going on Instagram. The reason I really wanted to talk to you was, we were on this link building panel, and we all kind of they did a good job of kind of sectioning off, I think, experts or whatever you want to call it in the different kind of focus areas. So you're a link building agency. Sounds like, big focus of yours is kind of more of what I'll say like the traditional link building methods, right? So like the guest posting, link insertions. Do you do like broken backlink building, that sort of stuff as well?
We don't really. We just focus on guest posts and niche edits, because it's easier to scale, essentially. So yeah, just those two methods are our main ways of getting links.
Yeah. And so I want to start with kind of like a broad and maybe like philosophical, theoretical question here. And it's just this idea that to me, it seems that the appetite for link building has, I don't know if it's waned, but maybe it's changed in the past year. I mean, this has been a very tumultuous year with Google algorithm updates, AI overviews, the Google leak, all this stuff. So I feel like it's been going back and forth, and we're feeling this in BuzzStream from traffic, well, not a traffic perspective, from like a sales perspective, but like people just, aren't quite sure. They're asking a lot more questions about the impact of links. So I'd love to hear your take on the market, the business right now, and if you're feeling that on your end as well.
Sure. Yeah, I think for a lot of link building agencies, they struggled after the HCU update because it just wiped a lot of their sites, the sites that they were linking to, they would get links from. But also, there's a lot of business has changed. Affiliates like disappeared, and that was a massive part of link building for a lot of affiliates. That's the main way they rank. They invested in links, and now all of a sudden they weren't getting brand searches. It wasn't like that. They were just buying links and competing on a keyword basis. And now a lot of that sort of link building is gone. So I think it's affected a lot of agencies for sure, which is why when before even the HCU update, we weren't really working with affiliates. We were working more with SEO agencies and in-house marketing teams, right? So it affected us in terms of from a data point of view, but I definitely think things are changing. And you know what I said this on another podcast the other day, is that I do think we are coming out of the golden age of link building. I think in terms of like just people buying sheer amount of links, any links possible, things are changing for sure. I don't think link building's dead by any means, and I don't think people will never need links. The whole of the Google algorithm is based on links, right? So I think things are definitely changing in terms of there's less people that actually need links, right? And especially sort of guest posts and niche edits, and that means the market has definitely changed in that. So, like these small sites completely white, not buying and not building any links, not buying any links anymore. But I don't think it will stay like in this past couple of months. I think people will change and adapt, and they'll find new ways of making money, and they'll find new ways of making money through SEO, right? So I think that's currently how it is right now. When things change and adapt, and people find new methods, they'll still need links at the end of the day.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think that's an important message. Is links seem to and probably will always be a big part of the algorithm, Google's algorithm. And um, I- I'd I'd love to hear kind of your thoughts too, before we get into like the tactical stuff of guest posting. Is how like knowing this, right? Like you mentioned, affiliate sites getting hit, and they're not really a big buyer anymore, or customer of this sort of link building. So, like, who is the ideal customer? What does the ideal site look like for people who should be investing in guest posting?
So I think e-commerce for sure is definitely a big one. So you've got like CBD, just any sort of like products like that are, is a massive investor for guest posts. You've also got stuff like insurance, right? So that's a massive industry as well. So the insurance niche is very competitive, life insurance and stuff like that. Really competitive SERPs. So there are two main ones that we are actually working in at the moment. It's just e-commerce and insurance. And that also for a link building agency is sort of like SEO agencies as well. So, and those SEO agencies usually and sure to reach down. And then you have local SEO is people building for local SEO, like the home improvement niches and stuff like that, especially in the States. It's not so much like that in the UK. But in the States, like there's so many home improvement sites and stuff like that. So it's a massive market there. So they're the markets that we're working with as well, mainly. But yeah, it's mainly anything that's now extremely competitive in the SERPs. It is really still where you'll need your digital PR, but also to make a difference as well. You will absolutely need guest posts and niche edits, which is something that people should be investing in if you are an extremely competitive search.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody kind of said this to me. I was talking to one of the guys that owns Traffic Think Tank, Ian Howells. We were having a discussion about just links in general. And one of the things he pointed out, which I thought was a good point that you're kind of echoing here, is this idea of like um, using links as a kind of like a competitive advantage. And there's going to be industries where you might have kind of the same exact service as your competitors, right? Like in these like comparison sites, I feel like those are good examples of that. Or maybe you're a local uh, insurance company or something, and from a sales perspective, you might not be all that different from the insurance company down the block. So it seems like links are kind of a competitive advantage in those instances. Do you feel like in those cases where you don't have a key differentiator, right, and links are kind of what you're focused on, do you also need to have like a blog and sound SEO, and traffic going to your site, or can you just inject links and that's enough?
I think it now takes a different variations. I definitely think you need a blog. I also think you should be investing in social as well. I think that there should be SEO should be, this is the thing with affiliate sites could just invest in SEO and that was it. That's all they needed. Brands now today, any brand needs to invest in their social. They need to invest in other forms of marketing as well as their SEO. It should be a whole package. And like you said, blogs, I think we've been updating our blog recently. We're then going to take our blog and we're going to repurpose it and put it on YouTube. So we're going to make YouTube content from that. And then you then push that to your blog when you post it on YouTube. And it all should be connecting together in an ecosystem, right? And I think that's what's really important. But then you invest with that with links. And that is, like you said, is going to give you a competitive edge. But it needs to be focused on and like I was saying, for some businesses, they could just do SEO and it was fine. But the landscape of SEO has changed for where you need other parts, other things to build your brand, build your image, to then push your SEO at the same time. So it's it all molds together now.
Yeah. You can't really take any shortcuts, it seems like, these days.
Someone will find one. So I'm we'll find one, and it'll be absolutely easy. But yeah, they'll find something. But yes, it's a lot harder. I had to say that it's 10 times harder. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it. Right. And that's something, and I see some posts on LinkedIn recently where it's like, don't invest in SEO anymore. And it's like,
I know, I've seen.
it's like, okay, well, whoever's listening to that, then that's your own fault, sort of thing. If that guy's not invested in his SEO, fair enough, right? But I mean, it's not, it's these, all these things work together, right? And it should be viewed as a whole marketing strategy. And if you take one of those parts away and another competitor's filling that gap, then you're losing business.
Do you guys specifically look at that from a customer standpoint? Like, hey, they have some traffic coming to their site, they have some content before you take them on as a client?
Yeah, so we have a check that we do. It's a quick check to just see if there's any content or technical issues, right? And we do that because there's no point investing in links if your site just looks so bad. And I've seen so many bad sites, and I say, look, guys, before you invest in me, you need to go and either redesign your site. The site speed's slow. It looks like it was built in the mid 2000s. It just needs to work. And I think that's a lot of people. I say it obviously a way more, professional way. But I think a lot of people need that sort of guidance because they just think they can build links and that's going to sort of solve their problems. Once you get to a certain point, right? Once you get to a certain point where your site's fine, it's technically fine, the content's good, and that traffic's going to convert, I'm going to feel much more comfortable building links because then I know you're going to get results. So, and that's what I tell people when they come to us. So it's it works both ways. There's no point investing in links if it's not going to, the traffic's not going to convert. So yeah, we do those checks. It's not a very complicated check. It's not like an in-depth SEO audit. It's basic, and we also just give it a smell test. So we go over the site. If I just think mate, to be perfectly honest, I just think this needs a redesign. This needs to be improved. Then I think a lot of people respect that as well because I'm not just going to take the money and just say let's build loads of links and it will solve all your problems. So
it doesn't help you either, right? At the end of the day, you're going to be building these links and you're going to be like, well, our traffic's not going up. It's like, your site looks like garbage. What I told you in the beginning, right? Yeah,
exactly. And it's like I can't build a case study from that. I can't build do you know what I mean? So there's literally a waste of everyone's time and money. So
yeah. And I like that idea of kind of the smell test. Like I think you can learn so much, or just like relying on your gut. I call it the eye test of just like, you look at a lot of these sites and I want to get into this next, but when you're evaluating sites, which to pitch guest posts, I feel like that's important as well. So let's transition here into kind of the guest posting strategy. Okay, so first thing I want to kind of set the stage, so your site, you have traffic, you have a blog, you're ready to get into guest posting. Where are you looking first? What are the criteria of the sites that you're trying to find to get guest posts posted on? If that's the way to say it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So I think there's two main pillars to links, right? The very basic pillars, which is authority and relevance, right? They're the two main principles that you should be looking at for links. Where it can go a bit more into detail is you have a look at when you're actually having a look at the site. Is there stuff like the traffic? So how much traffic that gets, and that's a good tell for authority as well. You shouldn't just be basing it on the DR of the site. Very easily manipulated, and there's ways that you can check whether that is being manipulated, which I'll go into with the other checks. But so the DR of the traffic of the site is really important. Where the traffic's coming from, the traffic trend is really important as well. This is why a lot of sites got wiped out after HCU, because the trend just went off. And then we have a whole 16-point checklist that we have. But we another really important one to look at is inbound to outbound link ratio. So the amount of inbound links coming into the site and the amount of ones that are going out. If there's hardly any inbound links and loads of outbound links, it's probably a link farm, right? In fact, it is a link farm, bro. So but they're basically using the site just to sell links. So you can wipe off a lot of sites by having a look at that data. Another good way of looking at it is the actual referring domains and keywords of the site. So if the referring domains of the site is a lot of jumbled up text.com with a DRAT but zero traffic, then what they're doing is they're using that to manipulate the DR of the site. So that's just a rubbish site. Same thing with the keywords as well. So if you type in, if you go on Ahrefs and it's like a load of jumbled up keywords and they're ranking top for it, they've just manipulated it to seem like it's ranking for more keywords than it is. So that's another good way of identifying sites that are pretty poor. So there are three main ways that we check, but traffic's really important. The trend of the traffic. If the traffic's going up like that, that's perfect. And just making sure there's no spammy keywords or spammy referring domains, and then inbound to outbound link ratios. I think they're the main ones that eliminate a lot of sites, right? So they're the key principles that I would say any sort of people that are looking to build links. If you just use those key principles, you'll save yourself a lot of time and investment.
When you get into inbound, outbound links, what does that ratio look? What is a good ratio for that?
So it's 3-to-1. It's 3-to-1. So let's say if you have 100 inbound links and more than 300 outbound links, then usually we surmise that as a link farm. Now that can depend on the
You're going to do some digging to
yeah.
By 0.1.
So we can do some digging on that as well. So we'll have a look at the whole site in general. But the first two probably to look at is the referring domains and the referring domains and the keywords. Those two are the real ones. And then with the inbound to outbound link ratio, then we know as a combination it is probably a link farm. So also traffic trend as well. The traffic trend of the site just going down. It's so easy to just be like, look, this is not even worth having a look into.
So the keyword one, just so I understand, you're looking for them ranking for keywords that aren't relevant to their own site.
Yeah.
Like say it's a VPN site and they're ranking for like best cities, restaurants in China.
Well, it's not. So there's a way. So what people can do is they'll just like basically make a random word up. It's like a jumbled up letter, right? So it's completely random. And what they'll do is they'll rank top for that. And because it's just a random word, and they'll rank for loads of keywords that are just completely random. So it shows that they're getting good ranking for loads of keywords, but it's not. It's just made up. So it's
interesting.
So it's a really good way of just getting rid of sites, because what the process of what they're doing. They're trying to rank for keywords to manipulate the site. So then if they're trying to manipulate the site, they're probably trying to sell links.
Right.
So yeah. If you have a look at a standard link farm, like a lower level link farm, that's the first thing they'll start doing.
Yeah, I gotta check that out. I hadn't seen that before. What
Yeah.
about AI content, like the content
Mm.
on the page? How deeply do you look at that?
So, I mean, the thing is, it's really, I think we're in such a weird stage with AI content that a lot of people are doing it. Like, there's some amazing tools where people are doing it so well. Where that, I mean, we don't personally invest in AI content. We haven't, but there's people that are doing it really well, and it's really hard to neglect, like negate, which is AI and stuff
Yeah,
anymore. Even some of the
Yeah.
checkers aren't on 100%. It's not something we basically just have a look at the content's good or bad, right? So that's that's pretty easy to do with a reading the content. And there was bad content before AI. So there's like you can still use the same sort of like reading through. Okay, does this make sense? Is this actually good? And stuff like that. And I think that's probably a better way to do, because I don't know if Google can even right now identify AI content, because, well, as you saw, at first it was like, no AI content, no one use AI content. And now they're like, well, if you want to use AI content, guys, that's absolutely fine, by the way. So,
yeah,
yeah, I don't use I try not, use the, like, going through and checking AI content, because we're just not too sure right now. And I don't want to build processes within our business to negate something that actually is okay. If that makes sense. So, yeah.
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay, so once you've identified a site, let's talk about kind of the outreach process. What does that look like?
Mhm.
Are you pitching ideas for them?
Mhm.
Yeah, talk me through that.
It's funny. So when we first started doing outreach, we would make these long emails. They weren't too long, but they were like, "Hey, we really love your site. The content's amazing. I just saw a picture of your dog on the site, and the dog's the most beautiful dog I've ever seen in the whole world. Can I place some content on your site?" And that was usually where, back in like 9 years ago, it was really rare to buy a link. You would write these really nice emails, and people would just like you'd place links all day long, and it's great. Nowadays it's completely different. The value of what people see is completely different to what it was 9 years ago. So the outreach message that we use today is, hey, I can see your competitor is outranking you for with this piece of content. We've wrote a similar piece of content. Would you like us to write one for you? And basically what we're doing is we're trying to get to the pain point of their competitors are outranking them. They've got a piece of content where they could generate more traffic, and we will use that to say, hey, let us help you write this piece of content. So we use Surfer to do that. So we pitch using Surfer, and we actually do this for link inserts as well. So an outreach message that we've been doing, which has been going down really well, is, hey, we analyze your site using Surfer, your paid article using Surfer, and the content's not very good here and here. Would you like us to rewrite it for you? We rewrite it and then insert our link into it. So that's a good way to show value now, because people just don't have the time to go through their content and change it, and they don't have the time to just write content all the time. And do analysis like that to see where they're missing or where their competitors are ranking them. So that is the best way now, keeping it short, sweet, to the point. Your competitors outrank you for this. You need this. We'll help you do it. Basically, in the short, keep it short and sweet.
Yeah, I love that. You're almost turning into kind of like a mini consultant for them, right? Like you're an SEO agency for them who's writing this content.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I agree. I worked at Siege Media for a long time, and I started there 2016, and I feel like that was exactly kind of that era that you said, where it's just like, hey, like you're personalizing to a point where you've hooked them, and they were just happy to have somebody reaching out to them.
Yeah. Yes.
There was a time like something happened, some course or something went out, and all of the bloggers realized that they could be asking for money for this.
Yeah. You know what it was? It was the travel bloggers. That's where we noticed it started, right?
Oh, interesting.
What happened was, it's like, oh, I can charge $200 for a link, or sometimes we were getting some ridiculous one like $1,000, and I think this pays for my holiday in Rome. So like, and that's where I think that's where it started, because we noticed it start in that industry, right? Where they're thinking, oh, they're gonna you, by the way, because travel bloggers speak and how to travel more, how do I get about, you can, and I 100% certain someone just started producing content saying, by the way, you can charge for a link, and you can, and that this is paid for all my holidays, and everyone's been like, oh, this is amazing, let's do it. So yeah, we started with those pesky travel bloggers, right? That's where
So, and it's, really interesting to go too far aside here, but I BuzzStream, we're working on this. It'll be live, I think, by the time this goes live, but the state of digital PR, and one of the things, it's this big survey. One of the questions is like, what is the hardest industry to get, or sorry, what is the easiest industry to get links in, and get links and coverage from a digital PR perspective? And most people say travel, because I think you're not reaching out to bloggers, you're reaching out to journalists in the travel space, which is like a totally different, because I had thought that too. I was like, travel, but I'm realizing like, it's not in digital PR. You're not necessarily reaching out to other bloggers. You're reaching out to the journalists who cover travel space. Yeah. And travel publishers and stuff. So yeah, just a quick aside there. Okay. So you're using Surfer, kind of coming up with some keywords that their competitors are ranking for. So the niche edits, and then there's the other strategies like writing the post from scratch. So in those cases where you're writing the post from scratch, guest post, you're not like adding your name as the author, right? Are they kind of authoring it themselves, and you're just kind of providing the content?
yeah, they're the
You think that makes a big difference, right? Like, rather than those sites that, it's by admin or by guest author or something, or they have a custom, it is Jasper Morris, but your bio doesn't necessarily reflect the experience or like trust.
yeah, of course.
Because that is where, to me, a lot of these sites go wrong, is those author kind of bios and stuff. Do you find that as well? It sounds like.
Yeah. I just don't see the point of it, to be perfectly honest. It's just not even, just say, look, this is going to be your content for your site. And obviously, you can put it as that you wrote it. And that's where you want the link as well. Because I think that a lot of people would have the actual link based in their author bio, right? And that is the traditional guest post. But I don't know many agencies that are doing that anymore. I think the term guest post has changed with that as well. Like the link should be within the content of the actual post itself, and the author bio, you can just say, look, just put it as yourself. Which gives it strokes the ego of the actual post, the site owner. They can be like, look at this piece of content I wrote. And yeah, it just works. It works best for that. I think back in the day, I think, and this is where it's changed. I think a few years ago, people would have it was like, and I think we actually did it as well. Like I'm pretty sure there's links that Hugo have built for clients that we've had for like 9 years, and if you go back, it will have Hugo as the bio with his picture on that he wrote. So, but the link is always in the content. And but I just don't think it's an unnecessary step now. And I just think the mindset has changed a bit. I think site owners would be like, well, this is my site and you've wrote this content, so you put it on. I just don't think site owners care about that as much anymore. So that's what we've noticed anyway.
Yeah, I would definitely agree there. So it sounds like you avoid those like right for us sites where expressly, even if it's a quality site that offers guest contributors, that's not what you're doing.
Well, that does depend. It's the typical SEO answer, but that does depend. If the site is right for us and it meets all the other metrics that we see, right, then usually we would go with that. But mass majority of the time, it says right for us, and it doesn't match all the quality checks that we see. So yes, I think if the site is good, right, then a right for us at the top doesn't necessarily mean it's bad in terms of getting a link from that. But you just got to have a look at that. In those cases, outbound to link inbound ratio, right? So if there's tons of people writing to that site, and there's lots of outbound links, then it's probably maybe not worth your time. So yeah, I think there's there's other, we have our core principles that we have in our 16-point checklist that we is sort of biblical for us, and that we'll use first, and then we'll stuff like right for us. We actually do have right for us as a check, but it needs to be taken in context of the whole site. So I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing all in all, but it depends. So, as I hate to say, but we always say it. So yeah.
No, I mean, I don't think there's ever going to be like a hard and fast rule in any of the SEO stuff. Like, I know that's like a trope, is like people hate when when you say it depends, but like there's a reason why you have to say it depends, because everything's going to be different.
Yeah.
And to build off of one of the things you said with some kind of analysis I just did. So I don't know if you saw, Ahrefs recently released this post of 50 best bootstrapped backlink builders in 2024. So basically they looked the past year, they looked at these sites, and they were mainly SaaS companies except for one. So I think it was meant to be a SaaS site or a SaaS analysis. So, they looked at ones that didn't have a high traffic value, I think, and that determined they were kind of like bootstrappers. So I'm looking at this site and like this list, and I'm realizing, it doesn't really get into the industries or the traffic, or how are the links impacting the traffic. So anyway, I ended up doing this big analysis and looking at every one of the 50 sites and like how they built their links in the past year, like what was the primary method. And one of the things that I did notice applicable to this conversation is this idea of like the right for us. And it wasn't a huge majority, but the things that I was seeing are most of the sites on this list were hit by some helpful content update, and others were hit by link spam. So going into the helpful content update, then I started doing some digging and seeing like, okay, like what could be some of these reasons that some of these sites were hit by helpful content. And a few of them had those like guest contributors, right? Like it was like most of the metrics were solid. Obviously, like the traffic was dipping. So like that, but like the content for the most part looked good. But then I'm digging in and I'm finding, okay, there's like 500 posts or something, and 400 of them get no traffic at all. And I'm digging in and it's like, okay, those 400 posts that are getting no traffic, they're the guest contributor ones, right? They're the ones that have been written for us, guest contributed, not really a strong keyword focus. It has all those signals that you're saying. It's like one outbound link, right? And it's to a very specific, service page or something. It's clearly a placement. So I do think there is probably something to those sites where they're just inherently going to be lower quality, because if you're accepting guest posts, guest contributors, we have 250 writers. It's like, how quality can that content be? Not to say that there are sites that don't do that, but like, to me, that's not a red flag, but like it's a warning to actually check the quality.
Check the site. And then I suppose it's like, if they just accept it straight away and there's no vetting process, then that probably raises a lot of red flags as well. There's something else I think as well with that sort of type of post, is that you can't add internal links to a post like that if you're not directly speaking with the site owner that really cares about the site. So you can't. So if you're just gonna, is right for us, you put a post, who's in charge of then actually doing proper SEO on the site and adding internal links from other pages to that post that you've done? So that's another really important metric. And I'd love to see the data of how many actual internal links that these sites have as well between each other, or they're just random pages on the site with random content that looks like it's been wrote by an 8-year-old or probably by myself. I've got the worst. I'm so bad at writing. So it's one of those, like but I think you're probably spot on. There's probably these 500 random posted by random people, and none of it is, half of it's half decent. So I think you're probably right. And this is something that, you should, the smell test, go through, just have a quick look at those sites and, the structure of them.
Yeah. All right. A couple other questions before we close out here, and this is a big one. Do you think people should pay for links? And I ask this specifically because in the guest posting world, right? Like I know you're very familiar with this, but more often than not, you're going to reach out to these people, and even if you are providing them a lot of value, they might still be like, "Yeah, that's a great idea, but it's $100, 200, whatever." Do you think that is okay if it's behind the scenes, not overt? What's your take on paying for links?
Well, I honestly think the best outreach message you could ever do is outreach to like maybe 10,000 sites that are really good, or like, you know, in your niche, and say, hey, for the first 5 people that get back to me, I'll pay you $1,000 for a link to your site. And then you will get some amazing links. So I think the question of this is like, is it going to harm your site first if you buy a link? Is that link directly bad? Google doesn't know if you've done a direct transaction. No matter what anyone says, they will never know if you've done a direct transaction with someone over a site. I saw a wild take on LinkedIn. What someone commented on my post saying they can read your Gmail, they'll find out. And I thought that was a wild take. So I thought that was mental. And then the second thing, which I think gets the most drawback on whether you should buy a link or not, is it ethical to buy a link? Right? Google guidelines say it's not ethical. You shouldn't. And personally, for me, I don't think Google are the most ethical company in the world, right? I don't think anyone should. If someone's basing the ethics of whether something's right or not on Google, then I think there's bigger questions that you need to ask yourself, right? That's my personal opinion. Each to their own. If people think that's ethically bad, then that's fair enough. I'm not going to judge you on that. Maybe slightly. But I think personally it's okay to buy links on the right sites. Don't buy links on Links Bomb. This is why we have checks. You're actually doing the site owner a favor, especially in days like this, right? If it's a decent site, if it's a genuine blog or a genuine business, you're doing them a favor because they're probably struggling themselves making money online. And you're building, if it's a good link, you know, then you're doing your client a favor. You're ranking the client site. We buy a lot of links. We rank a lot of sites, right? So that's if I was buying links and not getting results, then I'd move away from it. But I think the massive, and the thing is, I got sent the other day, Vince, a list of digital PR sites, massive sites where I can buy a link from. Right? If people don't think it goes on, you can buy a link on most sites these days, right? And no one's going to say if you buy a link from the BBC, that's bad, but in terms of an SEO point of view. But the people definitely think ethically it's bad. There's definitely, I think, more of an ethical stuff to the digital PR side of it. There's probably more. I mean, it's probably a conversation for another day. But when it comes to my guest posts and niche edits, I don't think it's bad to buy links. I think you buy them on the right sites and you're all good. But it's strange. I think people have moved. I don't know if you've noticed this, Vince, but I've noticed a shift from it though. And I think 12 months ago, if I said I buy links, I would get slated on LinkedIn, right? But I think people have been genuinely hurt by Google. The businesses have genuinely suffered by Google. A lot of white hat SEOs that were saying, do this. Their sites have been hit. Google has shown its cards. It's going to go and play for the high authority. It's going to work with the high authority sites. It's going to deal with Reddit and stuff like that. So I just don't think people can justify saying anymore that you should be listening to the big boss Google. So yeah, I think there's a shift. I've noticed a shift anyway. I think when speaking to people, I've noticed a massive shift from it. But yeah, in short, I don't think it's bad to buy links. I think it's bad if you buy links on rubbish sites. If you're going to go on Fiverr and spend $100 on some absolute garbage, then that is bad. And then selling that for hundreds of dollars, then that's pretty bad. But if you've genuinely put outreach in, if you've made a really good piece of content for someone, and then you exchange a value for that to put that on, and that link helps your client that they paid you money for, I see nothing wrong with that in my opinion. So yeah, what are your thoughts? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts then.
Yeah, I mean, I think the two things. I mean, I agree. It's like if you're smart about it, you really have to do your due diligence. The thing that worries me is you're putting your faith in the site, right? Like you're paying them with the idea that like they're going to uphold their quality and uphold their, like they're not one day gonna put their site on some database that is then gonna lower the quality. It's like the Brian Dean's thing, like bad neighborhoods, right? Like all of a sudden they might be very strict with their quality, but then maybe a new SEO content marketer, director of content marketing comes in and like they're not as, strict. And so that's the only thing I worry about with that. And that's where I just tell people it's a risk. And it's a calculated risk. If you're willing to do it to the point where, and it gets back to what you said in the beginning, it's like, it's not like a cure-all, right? Like just getting links is not the cure-all. It's fuel on the fire. Like you need a sound SEO, you need a blog, you need so otherwise you just pouring fuel into nothing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I do. And the other thing the other question that this brings up for me, I was going to ask, is this idea of like link marketplaces, right? So to your point, like I get these lists all the time as well. I've been on plenty of these link marketplaces. Like I bought links at one point in my career and I just was so soured on the experience because of the quality of the sites. But I am curious, to me, all it would take is Google to go into any of these link marketplaces. Like, quite frankly, I don't know why they haven't done this, or maybe they have, but like, just go in on any of these sites, right? Like sign up under some pseudonym and just download the list. And it's like, okay, we're going to devalue all of the links from these sites. They're not getting penalized, but you're just not getting anything out of it. I don't understand why they haven't done that, because to me, and again, like you can be super diligent in your process, but all it would take is Google to just do something like that and it pulls the rug out from under you. So again, like that's where the risk takes. Like if you're willing to pay all this money and have Google potentially pull out the rug like that's risky to me. But what is your take on that? Like the link marketplaces and like those online databases that exist that are pretty much overtly out there. I don't know if were you at Brighton SEO this year?
I wasn't. No, mate. No, I wasn't there. No.
Like they had John Mueller was doing Q&A and he was positioned directly across, like he had a booth and he was positioned directly across from like this big link marketplace website.
I can think
think
of a couple.
Yeah.
That's
so,
crazy,
to me,
really?
that's
that is pretty crazy, isn't it? It's
yeah.
It's Orwellian SEO world, right? You've got John Mueller and a link marketplace.
It's like that's the quintessential kind of picture of like the state of SEO. It's like this thing is something that happens, and I don't know how Google feels about it. But yeah, what's your take on that? Like those marketplaces?
It's interesting, and it wouldn't surprise me if they've done something like that. And this is why you've got to do some genuine outreach, right? That's the first thing that we're doing when we take on a client. We do some genuine outreach, finding new sites, finding sites that rank in the SERPs. And this is why I think it's good to like stuff like traffic trend is important, because if you are, let's say you are going on a marketplace like that, the traffic trend should, if it's still going up, there's probably some value still in that site. But it really, like you said, it really wouldn't surprise me if John Mueller after Brighton SEO was like, or a bit sour about this, and and just goes and logs on it, downloads them all. He goes, I'll show him. So it wouldn't surprise me, but this is why you can still do some due diligence. But I think that this is why we've always avoided this. People that have always asked us to, just send us your sites and I'll choose one or like that. And we've always stayed away from that, because I just don't think that's the process that you should be doing to actually get the best links possible, right? So I think that these marketplaces are obviously a really good business model for some even SEO agencies to easily come on and just buy links. But you'd hope and pray that at least they have considered what you've said, and are doing any sort of due diligence on these sites before, just because they think it's on a marketplace, they should buy them. I haven't really used a marketplace because we just never really needed to. But I'd be interested to see if there's maybe actually some due diligence or some stuff that they actually say on there to say, hey, by the way, you should probably
I'm sure.
your site
Yeah.
before you build a link on them. Um,
Yeah.
so
I mean, anytime I've talked to them, that there is that, like, if you're not getting something out of it, like I've been in those cases where like a client is like, I do this, but we're not getting anything out of it. Then like they have SEO, like smart SEO people, all, but I would imagine like 90% of their customers don't care that much. They're just like, here's this, oh, $200 is my budget. I want to buy 5 links, DA 30, whatever,
yeah.
right?
And this is
So
we spoke about this on the Digital Olympus. With like agencies that for local agencies, with the SEO agencies that we work with that do local, it is like they don't care about links. They don't care about that sort of stuff. They just want to see. They want to get more leads, right? So they don't care any sort of way that you'll get in. The link marketplace is the last thing they're thinking about. So it's probably the last thing the SEO agency is thinking about as well when they're buying links on that, right? They're just thinking, I need to get leads. I need to get my client right. I need them to get leads, right? So it's interesting, isn't it? I hope that like I'm thinking whenever we take on a client or when we're looking to speak to client, there's conversations that we're having that they're ready to build the links, they're ready to do that. And you'd hope that the link building marketplaces are doing some sort of check or some sort of something to help their clients be able to get the best quality from what they're selling. And it's an interesting one. It's why why we show our sites. So
yeah. And I'll close with this one last question here to wrap up the link buying thing. Is it a necessity? Like, do all of the people that you reach out to ask for money, or are there ways to do guest posting without having to pay?
we still get some for free. I mean, it's a great
Yeah.
feeling when we get them for free. We're all high fiving. We're all.
And I mean, is it just like it's a newer site? Like, what would it?
When we
Like they don't understand the game and they don't realize they can ask for money?
pretty
Is that
much. Yeah,
essentially it?
it's a new
Yeah.
site, or sometimes like we've had relationships with site owners for years, right? So sometimes we can just message and speak to them, and be able to get a link for free. So
Right.
it was stuff like that because we've had that relationship for so long. But yeah, you can still get free links. So that's really the goal for us when we're doing outreach. Is we would like to get them
Sure.
free.
Yeah.
That's the approach that Dad always had when we started doing it. It's like free links. We want to get free links. We want to get free links, and that is still the approach that we have. It should get to the stage now where even after a while, when we've had a relationship with the site owner, it's like, yeah, Jeff, Hugo, my brother, who's head of operations, we need to charge on this one. We just been paid $200 by another guy, and so it's just like it completely depends on as well on the niche and industry. But yeah, I think things will. I'm hoping that with better outreach and stuff like that, we can get some more free links. But I do genuinely think that the longer this goes on, that probably people will just be going to more paid, and I think that's going to affect it.
Yeah.
Too. I think it's going to really affect it. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I think you're right about that. Well, let's not leave it on the somber note there.
Yeah.
I want to quickly give you a chance to you were telling me about some cool stuff that you guys are doing on your own socials and to promote the agency, and you got your brothers, you got your family going. So you can find Jasper on his Instagram, but you also have an Instagram for Profit Engine,
Yeah.
where you're doing some fun. Yeah, My Profit Engine, and you're doing some fun stuff Tell us about that quickly.
Yeah, so it's like the sort of light-hearted skits just of us in the office. It's shot a lot like The Office, like the US Office. It's shot a lot like that, yeah, it's very it's a lot different to, we hope, other link building agencies out there. You can actually find more serious content on my LinkedIn and Jasper.Morris 98 on Instagram, where I talk about link building strategies. We have the AI ranking blueprint, which we help people with, and obviously building links as well. So, for the fun stuff, go on My Profit Engine, and then you'll probably see me on LinkedIn or me on Instagram there for some more serious link building stuff.
Yeah, love it. Oh, well, Jasper, this has been great, man. It's just like a longer episode than usual, but we got into some really good stuff, and then hopefully people listening can take some stuff out of it. Reminder, like and subscribe, but really, if you have questions about this stuff, throw questions in the comments, LinkedIn comment. I'm sure Jasper is more than happy to answer questions about the guest posting process, what Profit Engine does. But yeah, Jasper, thanks again so much. Say hi to the rest of the fam. Tell them for their help. Thank them for their help behind the scenes. So thanks for coming on.
No worries at all. I really appreciate it, Vince. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much.